in 2015, the Jewish boy Nathan died and went to heaven and saw a war. And in that war, Obama will attack Israel, and then he will be killed by the Jewish Messiah. And that Jewish Messiah will bring about the redemption of Jewish people. That's what he saw. And I believe that that war is prophesied in this Daniel chapter 9. So I believe that what he received in heaven is like the greatest prophecy received in this modern time. And it will show us that when it happens, the end is very near and the great tribulation will soon follow. So I'm going to show you that what he saw in heaven precisely matches with what is described in this Daniel chapter 9. So this is Daniel chapter 9, verse 26 and verse 27. So in verse 26, it talks about that war. And in verse 27, actually it talks about the setting up of the great tribulation. So the Jewish boy Nathan thought that that Jewish Messiah will bring about the redemption of Jewish people. But actually, I believe that Jewish Messiah is the Antichrist. So he believes that the Jewish Messiah is already in Israel and he's a famous person. And that tells me whoever the Jewish boy thinks to be the Jewish Messiah, he is the Antichrist, because when Jesus returns, he will not return as a baby and grow to be an adult. So he will return on the cloud with great glory. So that person is already living in Israel. So that means he's not the real Jesus. And I believe that he is the Antichrist. So in verse 27, you're going to see that it talks about the setting up of great tribulation. And when this happens, Jewish people will believe that the redemption of Jewish people is happening, but actually that's the Antichrist setting up the great tribulation. So this is verse 26. And the people of the prince who is to come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. The end of it shall be with a flood. So I believe that this war is the war Jewish boy Nathan saw in heaven. So many people believe that this war already happened when the Roman army invaded Israel and destroyed the Jewish temple in AD 70. But I believe this is the war that Obama will attack Israel and be killed by the Jewish Messiah, who is the Antichrist. So why is that? Because it says, the end of it shall be with a flood. So that war has to end with a flood. But at the time when Roman army invaded Israel, there is no record of flood happening. So I believe this Daniel chapter 9 verse 26 is a double prophecy. So he prophesied the invasion of a Roman army, but also it prophesies about the war that will happen in which Obama will attack Israel. So it says the end of it shall be with a flood. So at the time when Roman army invaded Israel, the flood did not happen. So there will be another war which will end with a flood. So there is a reason why it will end with a flood. But I believe what will happen is that Jewish people will build a sanctuary, which is the Jewish temple. And I believe Obama may be a Muslim. So when they build a Jewish temple, he will be filled with anger and he will attack Israel. Because it says here, shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. So before Obama attacks, there should be a sanctuary rebuilt again. So Obama will attack and destroy Jerusalem and destroy the Jewish temple. And why will it end with a flood? Because just like the Jewish boy Nathan saw, the Jewish Messiah will appear and save Israel. So I believe that Jewish Messiah is the Antichrist. So to bring about the arrival of Antichrist as smooth as possible, God will cause a flood will happen, because in the book of Zechariah it mentions about Messiah. When Messiah comes, the Mount Sinai will be separated in two, and in the middle of that separation the water will flow. So to make it look like the arrival of the real Messiah, when the Antichrist appears, that flood will happen. So when that happens, Jewish people will believe that he is the real Messiah. So that war will end with a flood when the Antichrist appears and save Israel. So this is the war that the Jewish boy Nathan saw. And in verse 27, it talks about the setting up of the Great Tribulation. So this is verse 27. Then he shall confirm a covenant with many for 1 week. But in the middle of the week he shall bring an end to sacrifice and offering. And on the wing of abominations shall be one who makes desolate, even until the consummation which is determined is poured out on the desolate. So after this war, he shall confirm a covenant. So this he is the Antichrist, and he will confirm a covenant with many for 1 week. So 1 week, many scholars, Bible scholars, believe that 1 week is actually 7 years. So after that Antichrist saves Israel by killing Obama, he will make a covenant for 7 years. But in the middle of the week, he shall bring an end to sacrifice and offering. So what this verse is telling us is that after the Jewish temple is destroyed by Obama, the Antichrist will let Israel build the Jewish temple again. Because in the middle point, he shall bring an end to sacrifice and offering. That means before that middle point, there must be a Jewish temple rebuilt again. Because the sacrifice ceremony can be only performed in the Jewish temple. So what this means is, in that war, the third Jewish temple will be rebuilt, and it will be destroyed, and it will be rebuilt again by the Antichrist. So it will be a fourth Jewish temple. So this will create a lot of confusion. So when the third Jewish temple is rebuilt before Obama attacks, many people will think that the end is here. So they will start acting upon the end time and try to flee, but they will have been actually fooled. And there will be great damage to a lot of people, just like many cults mobilized many people to flee, but there was a lot of tragic because of that. So that kind of confusion might happen. And what's happening right now is that many Christians believe Obama is the Antichrist. So when the third Jewish temple is rebuilt, they think the end is here, and then Obama attacks Israel, and when those things happen, then they will think the Great Tribulation was happening, and then everything ends after that war, and then the Antichrist rebuilds the Jewish temple again, and then bring about peace, and many people will be fooled to believe that the Antichrist is the real Messiah, real Jesus. So I think that's what will happen, and many people will be deceived by the Antichrist. So the 7 years will be the last 7 years before Jesus returns. So in the first 3.5 years, the Antichrist will let them rebuild the Jewish temple, and the Jewish people will believe that the redemption is happening, just like Jewish boy Nathan believes. So this Daniel chapter 9 verse 26 and 27 precisely matches what the Jewish boy Nathan saw in heaven. So actually that Jewish boy Nathan was a secular boy. He didn't know anything about a Bible, and without any knowledge about the Bible. He died and went to heaven and saw this war happening. And what he saw is precisely prophesied in this Daniel chapter 9, verse 26 and 27. So that shows you what he received from heaven is the real, true prophecy received. So I believe that he is being used by God to bring about the great tribulation as smooth as possible. So the prophecy he received in heaven is helping Jewish people to be fooled into believing that the Antichrist is their real Messiah, and it's helping for this Bible prophecy to come true. So to finish about what the verse 27 is saying here, it says, and he shall bring an end to sacrifice and offering after that, and on the wing of abomination shall be one who makes desolate. So in the middle point, the abomination of desolation will be set up, and that will signal the start of the Great Tribulation. And after the Great Tribulation, it says here, even until the consummation which is determined is poured out on the desolate. So this is talking about God's judgment on the Antichrist and its people. So I believe that the prophecy received by the Jewish boy Nathan is the true prophecy from heaven. And when we see these things happening, when you see Obama attacking Israel, then the end is very near. And after that, you will see the Great Tribulation happening. And this will provide us a timeline with which we can prepare the end time according to that timeline. So it will give us a great warning about what will happen in the end time in advance, so that we can prepare for the Great Tribulation according to that timeline. I wish you blessings from the Lord.